Yep. Okay. So my name is Priya Tucker, and I live at 38987 Arena Road. I own a flower farm that at that address, and it's called Raising Joy Farm. I'm also a parent. My partner, Stacy Goldstein, submitted a letter on our behalf dated 11/2. Stacy is a land use planning expert in Oregon, and I urge you to closely review her letter. I want to state for the record that I am imploring you to deny the land use application. In our submitted letter, Stacy went over the extensive list of reasons why the land use application doesn't meet criteria and must be denied, but I wanted to highlight a few issues and objections. The first is regarding safety and transportation. As many of my neighbors have testified, we use Coffin Butte Road to go north on 99. The intersection of Tampico and 99 is at the bottom of two hills with very poor visibility, especially when covered in fog. The Coffin Butte Road entrance to 99 is open with high visibility and overall is a much shorter and safer route when going north. We also use Coffin Butte Road anytime there is even a hint of ice on the road. Tampico is windy and hilly and is often really slick in the winter. Coffin Butte Road is also the quickest and safest evacuation route available. And during the ice storm last year, it was the only way out for almost a week for all of us. The second issue that I wanted to cover is the impact on wildlife that the road closure would bring, which is criteria 53.2151. As submitted in our letter and also covered by many of our neighbors, there have been great blue heron rookeries in the area that would be impacted by the land use proposal. In addition to the great blue herons, who we frequently see hunting in our field, there is a large elk herd that lives in the Soap Creek Valley that would be impacted by the proposed changes. On our farm, we have also worked very hard to cultivate a thriving songbird, bluebird, woodpecker, and owl population. A flower farmer, I try to attract as many birds as possible to feed on the insects and the voles that live on my farm that harm my crops. And as the landfill expands, the invasive starling population increases, which essentially will destroy the delicate ecosystem that we have fostered on our farm. I also have concerns about the air quality and potential water issues that would impact my farm and my livelihood. The criteria that I listed as it relates to wildlife says that the proposed use does not seriously interfere with uses on adjacent property, with the character of the area, or the purpose of the zone. The use certainly does interfere. The staff report lists the number of conditional approval criteria that require the applicant to look further into a number of potential conflicts as related to like the rookeries and the archaeological objects that were found on the site. That's chapter 77.3101B. This is requiring you, the Planning Commission, to make a decision about the land use proposal without the necessary information. There are numerous issues that seem to be glossed over by everyone except for the residents living in the area, such as potential groundwater contamination and odor pollution. Just to play out the potential repercussions of the applicant, say, not following the recommendations that were made by one of these experts, or any of the other issues that could arise, again, thinking about our water or our air. Who follows up to make sure that they are following the recommendations or the regulations? What are the consequences if they don't? Fines or some sort of court proceedings? I did a very quick Google search today and learned that Republic has paid over $150 million in fines and settlements for environmental violations. I would imagine that fines are unlikely to sway the decision-making process of the applicant. The issues, whether it's a significant impact on the wildlife, contaminated water, or major traffic shifts, those issues will affect all of us, the residents in the area, in the community of Corvallis. It will certainly impact the character and livability of the area, but it will also impact our safety and well-being. And you had asked a neighbor earlier about the smell, and I think he was he was pretty close to the landfill, but perhaps kind of around the mountain. And we are 2 miles away. We're down Tampico Road further, but from our field, we can actually see the landfill. So it's 2 miles away. And we frequently smell it. So especially on foggy days when the fog just kind of holds the air, there is an overwhelming smell. So I have a lot of concerns about the potential air pollution and increased smell from this.
Any other questions for Ms. Tucker? Of course, I have one. Let's talk about the odor. I mean, do you think it gets so bad that if it got worse, you would consider it a serious interference with the use of your land?
Yes, I work outside for 8, 10, 12 hours at a time, just as a flower farmer, and it can be very overwhelming. I also have asthma, so I just in trying to do some research for this, learned a little bit more about the damage that the smells bring to your overall health. So maybe not just the smell, but like the accompanying gases or whatever is in the air. And I certainly have felt nauseous at times. My asthma has been affected. I'm not sure if it's because of the landfill, but there are times when my asthma is much worse than it is otherwise.
Hmm. Would you characterize the current situation as being a serious interference?
Um, not not necessarily, because it's it's really bad on foggy days. And on foggy days normally are in the winter. I'm outside less in the winter. There are less working outside hours in the winter. So I wouldn't say that it prevents me from being able to do my job, but I think that if it were to get worse, it certainly would interfere. And I think also I employ people, so if it is making the work experience really negative by having, working in a stinky
Smelly
field, I
place.
think it would be, yeah, it
Uh,
would certainly make it harder.
all right. Any other questions for Ms. Tucker? Thank you very much.
Thank you.